How's it going? I have not put a YouTube video up in a long time, but I've just finished an EP. And when I was making the EP, I put something up on Instagram saying I'm filming bits of the process where people be interested in seeing, you know, how I go about making music and if it would help anyone. And yeah, loads of people replied saying they want to see all kinds of stuff. And yeah, I thought it makes sense to sort of go through the Logic sessions and unpack the tracks and all the layers and go through some of the thought processes that happened and also all the questionable mixing decisions that I also made. Before all that though, it's about a year since I started putting music out. And this track we're going to go through today is First Things First, the first track I ever did, way back at the start of 2020, which seems like a lifetime ago. Partly because I wanted to help people with their music making, and there may be things in here that people find useful. And also because I'm interested to see how I made music about, 12 months ago. And just compare it to what I've just done, because the recent tracks were pretty fresh in my head, so this will be fun for me as well. So yeah, let's just crack on. I'll stop talking. So this track came from a voice memo, which I still have on my phone. What's it called? Capo 1 C minor. Sounds like this. And it's essentially just the sort of main harmonic chord thing. And that was the first thing I thought of, the sort of capo 1. One moment. So like capo 1. Oh, not shot. There we go. Capo on 1 with this shape. Moving it about. And that was really fun to me. It yielded like a few sort of fun chord voicings. But really like gave this track a sort of exciting thing to me. And that was like the basis of the track. And I added this sort of top part in the guitar, the lead guitar, and that was really where it started. That's, whoa, hello, delay. That's the general gist of the track. So let's just go through it. The track starts with these blended electric and acoustics, which are sounding like this. And like this for the acoustics. Doing the exact same part, that main thing. But they complement each other where each of them lack, really. So the electrics rather are really quite mid-rangey, with not a lot of top end, like they're quite soft at the top. But then the acoustics have a lot of top end, but they haven't really got much mid-range. So both of them together, they sort of work and help each other out a bit. And it's one of my favourite sounds. It's a really fun thing to do, in my opinion, when you blend electric and acoustics. And that is pretty much throughout the entire track. And like I said, that's what the track was based off, so they're quite an important part. And then what happens next? The arpeggios come in. And that is just an electric piano with this high cut that gradually increases up to create that sort of filter thing. Yeah, that layer I really can't not live with. Hang on. I really can't live with that, because I just love arpeggiators. I think they're really cool. It's not like an arpeggiated preset, like I've done each note and made it work with the chords, because sometimes if you just bang on an arpeggiator formula, it doesn't always work. So doing it note by note is fairly tedious, but once you've got it, you can just copy and paste it and you get used to it. And yeah, that's come from listening to a lot of Owl City and Goin, actually. Their music's got lots of arpeggiated stuff in it throughout, and it just creates this sort of sense of motion throughout the whole thing. And it comes out in some places, but it's really cool to sort of fill in gaps in melodies and stuff like that. So arpeggiator comes in next, and then sort of the main bulk of the instruments come in after that. So where do we start? Drums. Sort of like ride, flams and bell accents, stuff like that. Some keys layers, which is a mixture of the electric piano, this pluck synth, and this long pad. I'll do them each at a time so you can hear what they sound like. Let's do that. Super Midian on the grid, but like I wanted them to be tight and as if they were played in the same sort of, you know, performance. And those three together sound like this. Which is fun. Yeah, what next? Oh, the percussion. So with the drums, I always like to add percussion because it just adds a lot of bounce and energy. The tambourine, super important. Let's play it from about here. You probably won't pick that up if you're, you know, not using headphones or something, but it does something to the high end, which is quite appealing to me. And then shaker on the beats of 16ths. If I boost that a bit so you can hear it. That's what that's doing. All of it together just, yeah, gives this nice bounce. So then bass, which is the neural parallax plugin, and I just can't use anything else to be honest. I love this thing so much. It's doing loads of compression on the lows, like absolutely slamming them, adding a bit of distortion to the mids and nothing to the top end, you know, no drive and stuff. It's, you know, leveling it, but that's about it. Saved as a preset, left the EQ flat, and yeah, that's parallax. If I sort of disengage it, that's just the DI, and this gives it all that amp, you know, distortion, wow, no, distortion character. And yeah, it's great. So pretty simple, nice and dry, bit of crunch, and that's the bass. So for people who like drum and bass mixes like I do, this is what that sounds like. Should also say the drums are coming through Addicted Drums 2, just a preset that I made, and it's got this sort of Tama bell brass sample, which is just my favourite snare ever. It sounds great. And yeah, so all that together sounds like this. And that was a nice bed to add the sort of lead stuff. So, oh, actually I haven't talked about the vocals yet. The vocals add some sort of organic thing to what are really, you know, quite programmed mixes. You know, all this green stuff is MIDI information at the end of the day. And trust me, my vocals definitely add something that's not very on the grid. But they also add this sort of like high-end top thing. Like they add this nice sizzly quality to the highs, which are quite like if you EQ the highs as well. They come in over the sort of build-up. Yeah, which are these chords? Let me just find it. So if I solo that with this. Sounds like that. For the sake of transparency, this is just the vocals. It's made up of 2 different R layers and then 2 different O's. So it's like a 4-part harmony. You've got like 1 part, 2 part, 3 part, 4 part, 5 part, excuse me. So it's 5 part, in each melody line is double tracked. So left and right. So what's that? 10 different layers, really? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cool. Yeah, 10 layers, so 5 different melody lines double tracked. So it's a bit of work, but yeah, sounds nice and wide. So that's all the vocals. So yeah, I was just about to talk about lead layers. On top of this is the lead guitar sound. Which comes again from Neural DSP. It is the Pliny plugin. Got this a couple of years back, and I just can't use anything else. This second amp is just so good. Oh man! So going through the tone then for all the guitarists watching this, pretty simple. Compressor on pretty high, left the gain, you know, at noon. No overdrive, because I'm not a massive fan of overdrives in front of amps. I've just found that they take quite a lot of the thump and like low mid stuff, which is sort of what people use them for, but I quite like that quality. And if you EQ it out later, it's still fine. I mean, live, I can understand why people do it, but for this, I just left the overdrive off and kept all the lows in. Gain pretty high, because for the later bits with the solo, I used a bit of I needed some distortion for the sort of more sustained stuff. Bright switch engaged, bass switch pretty low, because again, I haven't got an overdrive on, so there's going to be all that low end stuff that's coming through, so that just tames it a bit. Mid's pretty high, because I quite like mid range in guitar tones, and then treble and presence also pretty high, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Master at noon, nothing too flashy at all. EQ is on, but it's not doing anything. Everything's just super duper flat. The cab stuff is the same as it is in the default patch. Yeah, these are all as they are in the default patch when you open the plugin. And then a bit of delay and reverb, not too much. Just giving it some width. And yeah, that is the main tone, and that's really like the only lead guitar tone. The rest of it is just other sort of MIDI layers and stuff that come in and out. So those layers, we've got a piano lead and a what I've called a harp synth lead. So the piano one, again, super MIDI. It's like all the same velocity and like really bright. Oh, that's one note. It's not very helpful. Yeah, with a good, you know, ton of delay and reverb on it. And then with that, the harp synth lead, which sounds like this. It's a similar sound to the piano, to be honest, but more of a synthetic layer. So like an octave above, and it just adds that like synthy thing. So if you lay them together, and that's accenting some of the sort of later melody parts, so it will come in at the end of this phrase. Oh yeah, and then some automated delay there to carry on over the verse, I think. Yeah, a bit of a send. So that's always fun to do. What next? Okay, verse. What happens here? So take all the percussion out, because that is sort of useful in bringing up the energy in these chorus and middle 8 bits. So yeah, bring all that out. What else is coming out? The lead layers, because you know it's got to have some sort of dynamic. I took those out and left them for, again, similar areas to where the percussion bits are. Yeah, so let's just go through the track and see what other fun stuff's in there. There's quite a lot of chromatic harmony in this, so that's, what's that doing? Doing like a D flat major 9 thing, C minor 9, go into this like B Lydian sound, so like a B major with a F natural in it, so like yeah, flat 5 sort of thing. So that's that. Then we have another return of the hook. Yeah, so at the end of that sort of main hook, that's going from like C minor to really like an E flat minor, which is focused around B, like the 4 chord. So, and then up to this D flat, back to C. So sort of going from E flat minor to F minor, really briefly, back to C minor. And just little brief key changes, which I was really getting into when I wrote this. So that's that. Another verse with a bit more sort of flamboyance. Fun little bass bit there. Let's solo those two. Always fun. Me pretending to be a slap bassist. Not fooling anyone. And then another chorus. So then we're on to the melodic section, which is essentially based off this polyrhythm that's crept in a few places, like at the end of the choruses. Sort of that, if the quarter note is the other rhythm, it's doing that. And yeah, so if I mute the lead, you can hear it a bit better. And yeah, I really like it. It's very sort of EDM pop, but it works in all sorts, I think. So yeah, that's what the rhythm section's sort of all doing. And then the lead guitar is doing, like, I guess you could call it the solo, even though it's sort of one big solo, but this is like the guitar solo in the guitar solo track. Then into this sort of more lyrical section. The drummer, the MIDI drummer, is on the ride instead of the cymbal, well, crash cymbal, just to give it like a different, I don't know, level of energy, I guess. And then the melody is doubled with these piano things, piano lead layers, words. With this new guy, the airy synth lead, which is just, oh, so 80s. Man, I forgot about that patch. Yeah, what's that, Alchemy? Yeah, airy synth lead, there we go. It just really works, it blended really well with those two. Yeah, so if I do those with the lead guitar. Their role is just to augment the sort of main melody. So that's what they do. They all do the same thing, just homophonically. So if I solo them. Makes a big difference if I take them out. So yeah. Then we have this like verse 3, I'm going to call it, which is essentially just like verse 1 and 2, but like chill. And there's vocals. For what it matters, which is nothing at all, that's the highest note in the track. Up there. So this, like, 2 bars, is it 2 bars? Maybe 2 bars? Yeah, it's 2 bars. Is really like where the climax of the whole track is, I think. And it does some chord stuff, I've just got to try and remember it. So we're in like chord 4. Then it's like, no, it's not that, it's not that. Nope. Yes, okay, the bass note does this sort of chromatic thing. which is fun. And yeah, some vocals on top of it. Yeah, and then that led into the sort of end busy bit, which is where everything just does this sort of 16th note, what's the word? Passage is the word I'm looking for. So yeah, now we've got this sort of end hook, which is the same thing as the start, apart from this little rhythmic change in the middle. Which is fun. And then, oh yeah, like an elongated B section to this phrase. So you could sort of call it a verse ending, which I thought was kind of a interesting way of doing it. But it felt right. I didn't want to just end it at the end of the hook. So yeah, end on the 4 chord, which I do all the time for some reason. Don't know where that's come from, but just 4 chord endings feel good. I hope this has been helpful in some way. Yeah, any other questions, just comment or send me a message on Instagram or whatever. I'll get around to it eventually. But yeah, cool. All right. Thanks for watching. In a bit.